Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak to CEO and author of Almost Automated Income with FBA, Neil Twa. Welcome to the show.
Hey Jason, thanks for having me on.
And today we're going to talk about building profitable e-commerce brands on Amazon. This is a long-standing topic because I know people who have been FBAs in the past, some successful, some not so successful.
Sure.
Lots of cool tips and tricks. And before we get into that, I'm curious what got you personally into Amazon FBA? Because, you know, it's a tough thing to get into if you don't know much about it. So what made you interested?
Well, I mean, I was doing lead gen and online marketing and paid traffic and media, specifically in mobile lead cost per acquisition, basically arbitraging, paid traffic between affiliate marketing offers. And I realized I needed to own the product. I needed to own the back end. I wasn't controlling the offer. And so I went on a bit of a research binge to figure out, what product to control and what I should do. And it led me to the physical product world. With that, I realized just through my research that Amazon had purchased a company, a logistics company, and they'd rebranded it a company inside of them called Fulfilled by Amazon.
Right.
And with that, they started to deliver more books and their own products. And they, Jeff Bezos coined the phrase, we want to sell all things to all people in 30 seconds or less. So they set out to do that and started, deploying billions of dollars in infrastructure. We were just flipping products for profit. We were looking at arbitrage. We were wholesaling some products that we had been able to get and just started the process of learning what Amazon was as a marketplace and how to sell products on it. We weren't even a brand. But we just, would learn the process, learn the ropes, got going. And by 2014, we had our first 7-figure successful private label business running, which was kind of like, a dime bag in the e-com store. Once we got hooked on it, we were like, okay, we want more.
I tried it out in 2013, 2014. Okay. I identified a product or two that was ripe for some competition.
Yeah.
I added some free giveaways with the product to try to incentivize people to buy it. And I found that getting it to the point where it's break even was pretty difficult, although I did get to that point. But I realized I had to join all these, and this is again 10 years ago, I had to join all these sites to give away free product to get reviews, to get it kind of up.
Manipulate the algo and play with things just a little bit, right?
And I was using something called Jungle Scout, I think it was called. It was like an extension that helped me realize what competitors and all that kind of stuff. And I was able to get to a certain point, but I just couldn't get to profit. And Amazon was doing like the returns, and like I was losing money on like a lot of other stuff. And I just couldn't seem to get past a certain point. So walk me through someone like me who literally had this experience and walked away from doing the FBA world because I had kind of a bad experience. What did I do wrong? How could I have maybe made profit?
So really what it gets down to is the days of letting friends sell friends on $20 products on Amazon has ended. It ended somewhere about 6 or 7 years ago. And when most of the hopium guru course mindset, peddlers kept their course material around the same $20, $30 offers using Jungle Scout, all ending up in the same data sets, all fighting for the same scraps, we elevated our brands. We went into the $50 to $500 retail price point. So all of our products had to have a minimum threshold of net profit above $12 per unit, or we wouldn't sell it. So we were out of that market 6 and 7 years ago and have expanded brands up into the $50 to $500 price point. When you do that, and Amazon's fees, of course, have gone up, and storage fees, and now there's AWD and AGL and warehousing, we've been able to move with that and flex with the profitability of our products because of their higher profit margins. And we're able to go through things like COVID very differently. When the containers went from $4,800 to $25,000 per container, we were able to sustain that through sales volume, profitability, and of course a war chest.
You just brought something up that's kind of important that people, maybe they don't realize is you need a lot of money to get this thing going. You
need enough to really deploy the capital required. It never was just a beginning startup model unless you were going to flip products and treat it like a side hustle.
Right.
Like most people saw it at that and never thought about it really as a business. And since I came from a business and a business background, I started, 17 years I've been into this, right? And so my partner had never been in that. He's always a business thinker. He'd never had a job, and he'd always been entrepreneurial. And so I got together in 12, 13, and started to do business together. And it was about how do we make this as a channel of e-commerce sales, not just a side hustle or hobby business.
Right.
And with that, it was how do we deploy the capital, the resources, the right products and profitability metrics to ensure that that occurs. So we treated it like a business from the very beginning.
Right. So like, I think I had put in like $5,000 to buy, thousands of units of what I had put in originally.
Yeah.
And then I had gotten back my 5,000, I believe. I just barely broke even. And I couldn't quite understand how to get to the next level, because you mentioned all those fees. And I remember all the fees were kind of eating into like what my profit was. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not getting any profit. So what are maybe some misconceptions or mistakes people are making when they want to get this going, to get the mindset of, okay, I'm putting in this much money, I'm trying to sell this product, and I want to make profit? Like what's missing?
Well, first off, you need to think of it as a real business, which means that if you're here for 3 to 5 years doing this business, growing, capitalizing, putting additional brand and material and opening additional sales channels, you have to think about it in a broader growth scope. It's just a few $1,000s. You need to be thinking about, how do I redeploy capital, recapitalize products? Think about it more like real estate in terms of, the cash on cash is much larger, but you do have to deploy capital into real estate, right? And with that, to return that kind of value, you're going to have to do the same thing with physical products business. And most people don't understand that. The real problem isn't finding necessarily the right products at the beginning or identifying the right metrics. We can conditionally train somebody to get there. The real opportunity is to understand how to capitalize it correctly through growth, which is a physical inventory business model. You
just said like the right product. So that's kind of one of the things I want to ask.
Profitability metrics of a product.
Yeah, people ask me this all the time. So like what in your idea of, what's your idea of a good product to sell for a first time seller? Like what do you categorize?
Well, it's not here. I'm going to invert the conversation, because this is where people mess up in this process. Then they marry their products, right? There are millions of products, and they get caught up in the idea that I need this product with this unique idea, almost invention-like. It's got to have that, Shark Tank sort of thing. It's got to be really like differentiated in the market. And what I will say is no. We're not going to sell Me Too products, but I'm going to test and market test those products to define if I can sell them relevantly in my account, in the marketplace, at the price point I believe they can sustain. And then I'm going to order 1,000 units once I know that's possible of product that I have innovated when that occurs, right? So it's a market test step process. We have a 3-step process of what we call our 5x5 product launch playbook, to define the market based on its data first and product second, and then the velocity and value of the sale of that product over 90 days or less on a 100-unit test, okay? When I know I can value that product and project over 12 months what a 40-foot container would look like of profitability for that one SKU and how much capitalization would require it to get there, and then, the margins and potential forecasting of that. Once the test goes out, I know, is this data is good in the marketplace? Why is it data first and not product, right? Which is the second thing, because it's a data-based algorithmic engine. It always has been data focused. And when people focus too much on the products, they lose sight of the sales.
So let me ask you a question.
Sales fixes everything first, right?
I want to get into these weeds, because this is all interesting to me, being that I've had this experience years ago. Sure. You said it changed six years ago, so I missed that boat. What is the process like now, since you, like, for example, like, let's say I find a widget I want to sell. I don't really care what it is. I just know that it's profitable. I get a 40-foot container. Now, I know it takes time to get that container from China over here. It's like a month, 2 months.
In my market test scenario, just to correct you, you're not going to order a 40-foot container. You're going to have a projection of the data set of numbers that you've evaluated.
Just a projection.
To up to a 40-foot container, I'm only going to order 100 of them.
Right, like a FedEx overnight air, you get a box the next day.
It could be take 6 weeks to get here. It might take a month or so. It doesn't really matter. What matters is I'm not gonna look at that in terms of a negative time or attention. I'm going to look at it as in terms of each of these 5 products that I'm going to launch in the market with 100 SKUs. I'm going to now have a statistical relevance, an opportunity to sample the market with 5 products that I believe meet my metrics and criteria for profitability up to 12 months run rate and 1 foot, a container of products. Okay. And then I'm gonna let the market tell me what I missed, what I got right.
And then how do you break through all the other sellers doing the same thing? Like selling
here's
the same
thing,
product?
right? When somebody buys something from Amazon, they're buying the effect of the product, the outcome and the solution, not the product itself. So they wouldn't know that they got your product or my product if it came in different packaging and it's the exact same product.
Right.
And all I'm doing in 100 units is just testing whether or not I can sell it at my price point in my account, convert it, get the right metrics, get my tacos locked in, my advertising costs and organic metrics locked in at the algorithmic level, at the data engine level first. That's it, right? Not the product level, the data level. Now I'm going to put a great product in the market that I know is quality and won't break in the first 5 minutes, but I'm going to put it in its own packaging and send it out in 100 units. And I'm going to expect that if I do a good job on the marketing and front end, I will get positive reviews. And all that does is tell me a full 100% look at this data set. Okay. Then I will take the 3 to 4 things I know I should change and innovate on that product. And when I order 1,000 units of it next, once I've proven I could sell it, I'm going to innovate the differentiation of those products in the marketplace, put it back in the same packaging on the same listing, and do a full product launch into profit.
All right, so I get the gist of everything you're
Yep.
saying so far, and people are going to watch this, and because I'm going to send it to them because they asked me these questions, and they
Yeah.
know that I tried this once, but I'm like, I'm not the expert because I haven't done it in 10 years. But the thing that always pops up to me, and I've said it a couple times, and I think that we're not really getting to the root of it. Maybe you have an answer. Maybe you don't want to tell me the answer. I don't know. but really, what I want to know is if say we pick a product, doesn't matter what product it is, and I get 100 of them sent to me, and I sell them on Amazon, but I'm having trouble selling them because I have no reviews. Nobody knows who I am. No one knows my brand name. Nobody knows what Again, how am I going to get to the top of the list? Is there some
So it's
new,
all
is there
about
a new
the
trick?
data of the engine. And this is the part where I got to break back. It is literally, it is the algorithmic aspect of the A9 engine to put the product that has the best data in front of the customer in 30 seconds or less so they will buy it.
But how are you doing that? How are you getting the data in front of them if they don't know you exist?
We prime the engine, right? You mentioned doing a few things in the past. We do a few things now that are within the terms of service to get the engine to recognize that we exist. We don't go to review sites. We don't lower the product. We don't play with, we work within the terms of service of Amazon's engine to prime it as to be available to our
ads?
Well, ads are always a part of it, 100%.
Okay, so Amazon ads or Google ads or both or more than that, social
Amazon
media.
ads to start with. All I want to know is, and this is the part where most people miss this, if I use law of averages, okay, and I'm going to put one product on 5,000 units in the market and hope that I can tweak and manipulate my way in front of a 24/7, 365, 8,000 unit a minute engine. What I want to do is find out how close exactly to that stream, that Amazon river, am I in that data algorithm? And it will come from quality of image, listing, copy conversions, and all of the presentation of that listing to the AI engine, okay? And when it looks at it and says, your data, initial views and impression, it always goes out and sends it out, okay? Just like on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, when you post a reel, you post a video, it sends it out to a sample audience and it says, hey, take a look at this. Amazon's engine does that. It's always done that. Okay. And determines based on that data where you set inside of a little place in Amazon called a node. You ever heard of that term? Right? Amazon's a big river of traffic, but it's this filing system, cabinet system. Yeah. It's like a decision tree of data, right? And on the end are the leaves of this tree, and it's called nodes. And in that node, I'm only looking to compete with the 5 to 7 people that make 80% of all of that traffic in that node. Okay?
Got it.
Big market, could be 30, 40 million searches of just that product. I'm only wanting to find the 5 to 7 people I'm going to target. And all I want to do is get the data relevant to their data in the engine.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
And that occurs, it's going to show me to an audience. And then it's going to determine based on that audience, how well did my data convert?
Right.
And it will do its own thing after that.
So there's some automated results in there. It sounds like
huge. It's the whole A9 engine. It's how it works.
So a lot of it is automated. You just have to do the work that you talked about so far. If somebody wanted to start an FBA business, what are the 3 things you would say to them before they even call you?
There's actually 4.
4 things.
Willing to dedicate the time. Okay.
They got to have the time.
Willing to dedicate the energy and attention required to focus on it as a business, not a side hustle or a hobby, and then dedicate the money required that a real business would need to compete with me and others in the market who you're going to have to break into in order to compete in this new world. And by the way, the new world existed 5 years ago. You just maybe haven't caught up with it, which is why you would have trouble launching in today's world if you're using 5-year-old information. Right. In today's world, it's all algorithmic AI driven with Rufus and now Cosmo in this engine that is looking to present based on trends and information, the most relevant product at hyper relevancy to the algorithmic engine, even if it doesn't have all the reviews. I got a product right now doing 5,000 a day with 4 reviews. Okay. Wow. It has to do with the relevancy of the data. So to get to that, I need 5 of those products in the market in my brand, hyper relevant in my seller account, and that's it. And I want the entire thing to be hyper relevant to my customer, to my product, to my data set. And then I want the engine to fill in the 20% gap. When I have that 20% data coming back from the market and it says, hey, these 2 SKUs, those are your bangers. Those are the ones. I'm going to put 1,000 units off of each of those 2. And then I'm going to dial up the advertising. I'm going to go out and buy market share. What many Amazon sellers do not understand today is they are willing to keep their A cost at 30%, and I'll shoot mine to 130%. I don't care. I want to buy that market share so the algorithm and organic traffic will kick up. And I will do that when you're not willing to do that. And this is why one of the reasons we're going to win and you're not.
Right. And you mentioned you're a competitor to us if we decide to get into the same market, but you also
not with my own clients, but everybody else. With my own clients, I won't compete with them.
so that's what I wanted to get to to wrap things up is like, you're a competitor, but you're also helping people start their own FBA business.
And in sections that I'm not in, which gives us a behind an NDA ability to show them exactly what we're doing in brands that we control that are 7 and 8 figures up. So we can show them exactly what we're doing and help them replicate a product data set, okay? In any data set that we can attack that matches our metrics, it's called our green light process. And when we have 80% confidence, our metrics will go compete with those 5 to 7 people in that node. We go test launch the products.
Got it.
And then we let the
data if
tell
somebody
us.
wanted to do this with you,
Sure.
where would they go? How would they reach you?
Well, the criteria would be to go to voltagedm.com, Voltage Digital Marketing, voltagedm.com. Check out the presentation, the free training, and then decide if you want to have a chat. But don't bring less than 50 to 100K to the table in year one, okay? Because we are going to go dominate. For growth, we're going to dominate to take over market share. By year 2's growth into profitability, years 3 and 4th into scale. What's scale look like? Podcast is on there. Case studies are on there. I've taken businesses to 5 million a month in 9 months. We've taken them to 14, 15 million in 4 months. 4 years. Let me quote that correctly. And those are verified case studies, so I can actually verbalize them. They're on my podcast. You guys check them out.
Awesome. VoltageDM.com, guys. Check it out if you want some help. Neil will get
Fast
you
and
to
Furious, Jay
profitability.
said he got me on the corner, buddy.
Love it. Awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you in the next one.